The moon was cold and lifeless, its surface pockmarked with craters and jagged rocks. The air, or lack of it, was suffocating to anyone who dared breathe without protection. Yet in this barren wasteland, something unusual had happened. A small spacecraft lay shattered against the rocky terrain, its metallic frame twisted and smoking from the impact. Inside, a figure slumped over the controls, unconscious but alive. Her name was Emily, and she wasn't human. She belonged to a species called the Valens, beings far more advanced than humans in almost every way. But right now, she looked fragile, her sleek silver skin marred by cuts and bruises. Her ship's systems were dead, its power drained, leaving her stranded on this remote moon. For hours, she lay there, her body slowly healing itself as her kind often did. But time was not on her side. Far away from the crash site, Ryan moved cautiously across the uneven ground. He was a human explorer, rugged and practical, with short brown hair and a weathered face that spoke of years spent in harsh environments. His mission was simple: scout for rare minerals that could be worth a fortune back on Earth. But today, he wasn't thinking about money or fame. Something had caught his attention, a faint glimmer of light reflecting off metal in the distance. As he approached the wreckage, his heart raced. Space debris wasn't uncommon out here, but this was different. The ship was unlike anything he'd ever seen, its design sleek and alien. And then he saw her. The creature inside didn't look dangerous. If anything, she seemed broken. Ryan hesitated, torn between caution and curiosity. He knew the risks of interfering with unknown life forms, but he also couldn't leave her to die. Kneeling beside the ship, Ryan examined her injuries. Her breathing was shallow, her pulse weak but steady. Using the limited medical supplies from his pack, he cleaned her wounds and applied a makeshift bandage. As he worked, he noticed how delicate she appeared up close. Her features were sharp yet elegant, her skin shimmering faintly even in the dim light. It was hard to believe someone so otherworldly could exist. Hours passed before Emily stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, revealing irises that glowed softly like embers. She tried to speak, but no sound came out. Instead, a voice echoed in Ryan's mind. "Who are you?" it asked, hesitant and wary. Ryan froze, startled by the intrusion into his thoughts. But he quickly recovered. "My name is Ryan," he replied aloud, keeping his tone calm and steady. "I'm not going to hurt you. I found your ship crashed here. What happened?" Emily paused, as if weighing whether to trust him. Finally, she responded telepathically. "I am fleeing. My people, they seek destruction." Ryan frowned, unsure what to make of her cryptic words. Destruction. Was she talking about war? Before he could ask more questions, Emily winced in pain, her body still recovering from the crash. Ryan realized she needed rest and safety. Glancing around at the desolate landscape, he made a decision. He would take her back to his base camp, hidden deep within a nearby cave system. Over the next few days, Ryan cared for Emily, feeding her nutrient-rich food packets and ensuring her wounds healed properly. She watched him intently, studying his movements and expressions. There was something about him she hadn't encountered before: kindness. Among her own kind, such compassion was rare, reserved only for those deemed worthy. But Ryan offered it freely, without expecting anything in return. One evening, as they sat together near the fire, Emily broke the silence. "Why do you help me?" she asked, her mental voice tinged with curiosity. Ryan shrugged, poking at the flames with a stick. "Because it's the right thing to do," he said simply. "Besides, everyone deserves a second chance." Emily fell silent, contemplating his words. In that moment, she felt something stir within her, a flicker of hope. Perhaps humanity wasn't as primitive as her people believed. Perhaps there was more to learn from them than she'd ever imagined. As the days turned into weeks, Emily's strength began to return. Her injuries healed faster than Ryan had expected, thanks to her natural abilities. She started moving around the cave more freely, observing everything with a quiet curiosity. Ryan noticed how she seemed fascinated by even the simplest things: the flickering firelight, the sound of water dripping from the cave walls, the taste of dried fruit he shared with her. To him, these were ordinary details of survival, but to Emily, they were wonders. One afternoon, while Ryan worked on repairing some equipment, Emily approached him. "Your world," she said telepathically, her voice softer now, less strained. "It is beautiful." Ryan looked up, surprised by the comment. "You've seen Earth." Emily shook her head. "Not yet, but I feel it through you. Your memories, your thoughts, they show me what it is like." Ryan chuckled, setting down his tools. "Well, don't get too excited. It's not all sunshine and rainbows down there. Humans can be pretty messy sometimes." "Messy?" Emily tilted her head, confusion evident in her expression. "Yeah, messy. We fight, we argue, we make mistakes. A lot of them," Ryan explained. "But we also try to fix things when they go wrong. That's kind of our thing." Emily considered this for a moment. Among her people, mistakes were not tolerated. Perfection was demanded, and failure meant exile, or worse. The idea of forgiveness, of second chances, was foreign to her. Yet, watching Ryan, she saw something admirable in his willingness to keep trying despite the odds. Their conversations became a daily routine. Ryan told her stories about growing up on Earth, about his family and friends, about the dreams that had driven him to explore the stars. In turn, Emily shared glimpses of her own life, though cautiously. She spoke of her homeworld, a place of towering cities and endless skies, but avoided mentioning the darker truths she knew. Ryan sensed she was holding back, but didn't press her. He understood that trust took time, especially for someone like her. One evening, as they sat side by side near the fire, Emily hesitated before speaking again. "Ryan," she began, her mental voice trembling slightly, "why do you stay here? With me?" Ryan glanced at her, surprised by the question. "What do you mean?" "You could leave. Go back to your mission. Find your minerals. I am not your responsibility." Ryan smiled faintly, poking at the fire with a stick. "Maybe. But I made a choice to help you, and I'm sticking to it. Besides, you're not exactly boring company." Emily lowered her gaze, her glowing eyes reflecting the flames. "I have caused you trouble. You risk much by keeping me hidden." "It's worth it," Ryan replied firmly. "You're worth it." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. Emily felt a warmth spread through her chest, an emotion she couldn't quite name. Gratitude, affection, whatever it was, it filled her with a sense of belonging she hadn't felt in years. The next morning, Ryan decided to teach Emily how to use some of his tools. He handed her a small multi-tool, showing her how to adjust its settings. At first, she struggled, unused to handling such primitive technology. But after a few tries, she managed to activate one of its functions, emitting a soft hum of satisfaction. "You're a quick learner," Ryan said, grinning. "I have much to learn," Emily replied, her tone thoughtful. "About your tools, and about you." Ryan laughed lightly. "Well, I'm glad you're interested. Just don't ask me to explain quantum physics or anything. That's way above my pay grade." Despite the levity, there was a deeper connection forming between them. Ryan found himself looking forward to their talks, eager to share more of his world with her. And Emily, for the first time in her life, felt truly seen, not as a tool for her people's ambitions, but as an individual worthy of care and respect. But beneath the surface, tension lingered. Emily knew her absence wouldn't go unnoticed forever. The Valens would come looking for her, and when they did, Ryan would be caught in the crossfire. For now, though, she chose to push those fears aside, savoring the brief moments of peace she'd found with him. As days passed, the bond between Ryan and Emily grew stronger. They spent hours talking, sharing stories, and learning from each other. Emily marveled at how different Ryan was from her own kind. Where the Valens were cold and calculating, Ryan was warm and open. His laughter echoed through the cave, filling it with a sense of life she had never experienced before. For the first time in her existence, Emily felt something she couldn't quite put into words, a deep connection that went beyond logic or duty. One evening, as they sat by the fire, Ryan handed Emily a small piece of fruit. "Try this," he said with a grin. "It's called an apple." Emily took it cautiously, examining its red skin and smooth texture. She brought it to her lips and bit into it, the juice bursting in her mouth. Her eyes widened in surprise. "It is sweet," she said, her mental voice tinged with wonder. "And crisp. I have never tasted anything like it." Ryan chuckled. "Told you it was good. Apples are one of Earth's best creations, if you ask me." Emily smiled faintly, savoring the flavor. "Your world must be full of such wonders." "It has its ups and downs," Ryan admitted. "But yeah, there's beauty everywhere, if you know where to look." Their conversations often drifted to deeper topics about family, purpose, and what it meant to truly live. Emily listened intently as Ryan talked about his childhood, growing up near a quiet lake surrounded by tall trees. He described lazy summer afternoons fishing with his father and chasing fireflies at dusk. To Emily, these moments sounded like scenes from a dream, so far removed from the rigid structure of her own upbringing. In turn, Emily shared fragments of her life on her homeworld, though she remained careful not to reveal too much. She spoke of towering cities bathed in perpetual light, of vast libraries containing knowledge beyond imagination. But she also hinted at the pressures placed upon her people, the relentless pursuit of perfection, the fear of failure. Ryan noticed the sadness that crept into her voice whenever she mentioned her kind. "You're not like them," Ryan said one night, breaking the silence. "I can tell." Emily looked at him, her glowing eyes searching his face. "What do you mean?" "I mean you care. You think about others, about doing the right thing. That's rare, even among humans. So whatever your people are like, don't let them define who you are." His words struck a chord within her. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Like she mattered as an individual, not just as a member of her species. Tears welled up in her eyes, though she quickly blinked them away. "Thank you," she whispered telepathically, "for seeing me." The next day, Ryan decided to take Emily outside the cave to see the moon's surface under daylight. The sky was a deep shade of purple, dotted with distant stars. Emily gazed up at the heavens, her expression serene. "It is beautiful," she murmured, "but it feels lonely." "Yeah, space does that to you sometimes," Ryan agreed. "Makes you realize how small we are compared to everything else out there." They walked together across the rocky terrain, Emily marveling at the alien landscape. When they reached a ridge overlooking a vast crater, she paused, staring out at the view. "Do you ever feel afraid?" she asked suddenly. Ryan thought for a moment. "Sure. All the time. But I guess that's part of being alive, isn't it? Facing fears, taking risks." "And yet you chose to help me," Emily said softly, "even though I am not of your kind." "You saved yourself when you crashed here," Ryan replied. "All I did was give you a chance to recover. Besides, kindness doesn't have boundaries, does it?" Emily turned to look at him, her heart swelling with emotion she couldn't fully understand. There was gratitude, yes, but also something deeper, an admiration that bordered on affection. She realized then that she trusted Ryan completely, more than she had ever trusted anyone before. But as they stood there, bathed in the soft glow of the alien sun, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that their time together was fleeting. Sooner or later, her people would find her. And when they did, she knew Ryan would be in danger. For now, though, she chose to focus on the present, cherishing every moment she had with him. The days on the moon were growing shorter, and Emily could feel a change in the air, not in the literal sense, since there was no atmosphere to speak of, but in the way her thoughts began to drift toward darker possibilities. She tried to push those worries aside, focusing instead on the time she spent with Ryan. Yet, deep down, she knew she couldn't hide from the truth forever. Her people would come for her, and when they did, it wouldn't just be her life at risk. One evening, as they sat by the fire inside the cave, Emily finally decided to tell Ryan more about why she had fled her homeworld. She hesitated at first, unsure how much he could handle, but Ryan's steady gaze encouraged her to speak. "Ryan," she began, her mental voice trembling slightly, "there is something you need to know." Ryan leaned forward, his expression serious. "What is it?" Emily took a deep breath, or what passed for one in her species, and began. "My people, they are planning something terrible. They have set their sights on your world, Earth. They see humans as weak, unworthy of the resources you possess. They intend to invade, to take what they want, and to destroy anyone who stands in their way." Ryan stared at her, his mind racing. The weight of her words hit him like a punch to the gut. "How long do we have?" he asked, his voice tight. "I don't know," Emily admitted, "but it will happen soon. My escape has likely already alerted them to my betrayal. They will be watching closely now." Ryan ran a hand through his hair, trying to process everything. He had always known Earth wasn't alone in the universe, but he never imagined humanity would face an existential threat so soon. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked after a long pause. "Because I trust you," Emily replied simply, "and because I believe humans deserve a chance to defend themselves. You may not have our technology or power, but you have something my people lack: courage, resilience, the will to fight for what matters." Her words stirred something within Ryan. Fear, yes, but also determination. If what Emily said was true, then every second counted. "We need to warn Earth," he said firmly. "Tell them what's coming." Emily nodded, though her expression was grim. "It won't be easy. My kind monitors communications closely. Any attempt to contact your people could expose us both." Ryan clenched his fists, frustration building inside him. "Then what do you suggest? We can't just sit here and wait for them to show up." "I know," Emily said softly, "but we must be careful. One wrong move, and everything is lost." For hours, they discussed possible plans, weighing the risks and rewards of each option. By the time the fire burned down to embers, they had settled on a strategy. Ryan would return to human space alone, using encrypted channels to deliver the warning. Meanwhile, Emily would stay behind on the moon, keeping a low profile to avoid drawing attention. It was a risky plan, but it was all they had. The next morning, Ryan packed his gear, preparing to leave. Emily watched him silently, her glowing eyes filled with worry. "Be safe," she said telepathically, her voice barely above a whisper. "You too," Ryan replied. He hesitated, then added, "I'll come back for you. I promise." Emily managed a small smile, though her heart ached at the thought of being separated from him. "I know you will." As Ryan climbed into his ship and powered up the engines, he glanced back at Emily one last time. She stood outside the cave, her silver skin shimmering faintly in the dim light. For a moment, he felt a pang of guilt for leaving her behind. But he reminded himself of the stakes. If he failed, none of this would matter anyway. The journey back to human space was long and lonely. Ryan replayed Emily's warnings in his mind over and over, trying to piece together how best to present the information without sounding like a madman. When he finally reached a secure outpost near Earth's orbit, he transmitted the message, encrypting it with layers of code to prevent interception. Then he waited, hoping against hope that someone would believe him. Meanwhile, back on the moon, Emily kept watch, scanning the skies for any sign of her people. Each passing day felt heavier than the last, the silence around her growing oppressive. She clung to the memory of Ryan's promise, repeating it to herself like a mantra. He would come back. He had to. The days stretched into weeks, and Emily's solitude on the moon became harder to bear. She spent her time watching the horizon, half expecting to see Ryan's ship returning, or, worse, the ominous silhouette of a Valen vessel descending from the sky. Her mind was a whirlwind of emotions, hope, fear, and an ache she couldn't quite name. She missed Ryan more than she thought possible, not just for his company, but for the sense of purpose he gave her. With him gone, she felt adrift, caught between two worlds that neither fully accepted her. One evening, as the twin suns dipped below the jagged peaks, Emily sat near the mouth of the cave, staring at the stars. They twinkled faintly, distant and cold, much like the society she had left behind. But among those countless points of light was Earth, the planet Ryan called home. The thought brought a small smile to her face. She imagined what it might be like to walk under its blue skies, to feel rain on her skin, or hear birdsong in the morning. It sounded almost magical compared to the sterile perfection of her homeworld. Her thoughts were interrupted by a sudden noise, a low hum that vibrated through the ground beneath her feet. At first, she thought it was her imagination, but then she saw it, a faint glow on the horizon, growing brighter by the second. Her heart sank. It wasn't Ryan's ship. It was too large, too menacing. The Valens had found her. Panic surged through her, but years of discipline kicked in. She retreated deeper into the cave, activating the cloaking device Ryan had rigged for her before he left. It wasn't perfect, but it would buy her some time if they scanned the area. As the massive ship descended, casting long shadows across the moon's surface, Emily pressed herself against the cool rock wall, holding her breath. The Valens didn't waste time. Armed soldiers disembarked, their sleek suits glinting in the dim light. They moved with precision, spreading out in search of her. Emily knew they wouldn't leave without finding something or someone. She clenched her fists, focusing on controlling her energy field so it wouldn't give her away. Her pulse raced, but she forced herself to stay calm. If she could hold out until they left, she might still have a chance. Hours passed, though it felt like days. The soldiers scoured the area, their scanners sweeping over the cave multiple times. Each pass sent a jolt of fear through Emily, but somehow, the makeshift cloak held. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the soldiers regrouped and returned to their ship. The engines roared to life, and the vessel lifted off, disappearing into the blackness above. Emily collapsed onto the ground, trembling with relief. For now, she was safe, but she knew it was only a matter of time before they came back. The Valens never gave up once they set their sights on something or someone. A few days later, just as despair began to creep in, Emily spotted a familiar shape cutting through the sky. Her heart leaped as Ryan's ship touched down outside the cave. He emerged moments later, his face lined with exhaustion, but his eyes bright with determination. "I'm back," he said simply, rushing to her side. Emily threw her arms around him, tears streaming down her face. "You came back," she whispered telepathically, her voice shaking. "Of course I did," Ryan replied, hugging her tightly. "I told you I would." He explained that his message had been received, though not without skepticism. Humanity was preparing for the worst, arming itself as best it could. But Ryan knew it wouldn't be enough, not without Emily's help. "We need you," he said earnestly. "Your knowledge, your abilities. We can't do this alone." Emily nodded, resolve hardening within her. "Then I will fight with you," she declared. "For Earth. For humanity." As they prepared to leave the moon behind, Emily made a decision. Turning to Ryan, she spoke softly. "There is one more thing I must ask of you." "What is it?" Ryan asked, sensing the weight of her words. "Marry me," Emily said, her glowing eyes meeting his. "Not just because I love you, but because it will show our peoples that unity is possible, that we can stand together against hatred and fear." Ryan stared at her, stunned. Then slowly he smiled. "Yes," he said. "Yes, I'll marry you." In that moment, surrounded by the desolate beauty of the moon, they sealed their bond, a promise to fight not just for survival, but for a future where hope triumphed over despair. The journey back to Earth was filled with quiet moments and unspoken fears. Emily sat beside Ryan in the cockpit, her eyes fixed on the swirling stars outside the viewport. She had never been to his world before, and though she trusted him completely, the thought of stepping onto alien soil made her nervous. What would humans think of her? Would they see her as an ally or a threat? As they approached Earth's atmosphere, Ryan glanced at her. "You ready for this?" he asked, his voice gentle. Emily hesitated, then nodded. "I must be," she replied telepathically, "for both our sakes." The ship descended through thick clouds, revealing a breathtaking view below. Rolling green hills, sparkling oceans, and sprawling cities that glowed softly under the sunlight. Emily gasped, her glowing eyes wide with wonder. "It is beautiful," she whispered. Ryan smiled faintly. "Yeah, it has its charm." They landed in a secluded valley far from prying eyes, where Ryan's allies were waiting. A group of scientists, engineers, and military personnel greeted them cautiously, their expressions a mix of curiosity and suspicion. Emily stepped out of the ship slowly, her silver skin shimmering in the daylight. For a moment, everyone froze, unsure how to react. "It's okay," Ryan said, breaking the silence. "She's with me. Her name is Emily, and she's here to help." One of the scientists, a middle-aged woman named Dr. Carter, stepped forward. "Help with what exactly?" she asked, her tone guarded. "She knows about the Valence plans," Ryan explained. "Their technology, their weaknesses. Without her, we don't stand a chance." Dr. Carter studied Emily carefully before nodding. "All right, let's hear what she has to say." Over the next few days, Emily worked tirelessly alongside the team, sharing everything she knew about her people. She described their ships, their weapons, their strategies. The humans listened intently, taking notes and asking questions. Despite their initial skepticism, they couldn't deny the value of her insights. Slowly, trust began to form, not just between Emily and Ryan, but between her and the others as well. During breaks, Ryan took Emily to explore the surrounding area. They walked through dense forests, climbed rocky cliffs, and stood by quiet streams. Each new experience filled Emily with awe. She marveled at the way sunlight filtered through leaves, the sound of birds chirping in the distance, the scent of wildflowers carried on the breeze. To her, Earth felt alive in a way her own world never had. One evening, as they sat together near a crackling campfire, Emily turned to Ryan. "This place, it feels like home," she said softly. Ryan smiled, poking at the flames with a stick. "Good, because it's your home now too." Emily's heart swelled at his words. She reached out, taking his hand in hers. "Thank you, Ryan, for everything." But even as they shared these peaceful moments, the looming threat of invasion weighed heavily on them. Reports came in daily. Valen probes spotted near Earth's orbit, strange energy signatures detected in deep space. Time was running out. One night, after another long day of planning, Emily found Ryan sitting alone outside their makeshift base. He stared up at the stars, his expression troubled. "What's wrong?" she asked, sitting beside him. "I'm scared," he admitted after a pause. "Not for myself, but for everyone else. If we fail." "We won't," Emily interrupted firmly. "We have something they don't, each other, and that makes us stronger than they'll ever be." Her words brought a small smile to Ryan's face. "When did you get so wise?" Emily chuckled softly. "Maybe I learned it from you." The next morning, preparations intensified. Weapons were upgraded, defenses fortified, evacuation plans drawn up. Emily used her abilities to enhance human technology, making it more resilient against Valen attacks. Her presence inspired the team, giving them hope in the face of overwhelming odds. Finally, the day came when Ryan and Emily decided to formalize their bond. A simple ceremony held under the open sky. With the team gathered around, they exchanged vows, promising to stand by each other no matter what happened. It wasn't just a marriage. It was a declaration of unity, a symbol of what humanity and aliens could achieve together. As they stood hand in hand, surrounded by cheers and applause, Emily felt a sense of belonging she had never known before. For the first time, she truly believed that love and courage could change the course of history. The days that followed the ceremony were a blur of activity. Emily and Ryan worked side by side with the team, finalizing plans to defend Earth against the impending Valen invasion. Every moment felt precious, every decision critical. The humans marveled at Emily's abilities, how she could manipulate energy fields, repair damaged equipment with a touch, and even shield them from detection during tests. Her presence gave them hope, but it also reminded them of the stakes. If they failed, humanity would face extinction. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Emily stood alone on a hill overlooking the valley. She closed her eyes, letting the cool breeze brush against her skin. For all its beauty, Earth felt fragile compared to the cold efficiency of her homeworld. Yet that fragility was what made it special. It was alive, unpredictable, full of wonder. She thought about Ryan, about how much he had taught her, not just about his world, but about love, trust, and sacrifice. Thinking about home, Ryan's voice broke through her thoughts. He approached her, carrying 2 cups of steaming tea. Emily opened her eyes and smiled faintly. "In a way," she replied telepathically. "But this is my home now." Ryan handed her one of the cups, sitting down beside her. "You've done so much for us already. I can't imagine what you're feeling right now." "I am scared," Emily admitted, her mental voice soft. "But I am also proud. Proud to stand with you, with your people. Together, we can do this." Ryan nodded, his expression serious. "We'll make them pay for underestimating us." As they sipped their tea in silence, the first signs of trouble appeared. A distant hum filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. Emily stiffened, recognizing the sound immediately. "They're here," she whispered. Ryan shot to his feet, scanning the sky. Sure enough, several sleek Valen ships descended from orbit, their metallic surfaces glinting ominously in the fading light. Alarms blared across the base, jolting everyone into action. Soldiers scrambled to their positions, weapons raised. Scientists huddled around monitors, tracking the invaders' movements. Emily stepped forward, her hands glowing faintly with energy. "Stay behind me," she said firmly, addressing Ryan and the others. "I'll hold them off while you prepare." "No way," Ryan protested, grabbing her arm. "We stick together, remember." Emily hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. "Fine, but don't take any unnecessary risks." The battle began almost instantly. Valen soldiers poured out of their ships, firing beams of concentrated energy. Emily countered with bursts of her own power, creating barriers that deflected their attacks. Her movements were fluid, precise, a stark contrast to the chaotic scramble of the human defenders. Despite being outnumbered, the team held their ground, using tactics Emily had helped them develop. Dr. Carter shouted orders from a nearby command post, coordinating efforts to disable the enemy ships. "Focus fire on the engines," she called out. "If we can cripple them, they'll retreat." Emily heard the plan and acted quickly. Channeling her energy, she unleashed a powerful surge that struck one of the ships directly. Its engines sputtered and died, sending it crashing into the valley below. Cheers erupted from the team, but Emily didn't have time to celebrate. More ships loomed overhead, reinforcements arriving faster than expected. Ryan fought alongside her, wielding a modified rifle enhanced by Emily's technology. He aimed carefully, targeting weak points she identified. Together, they formed an unstoppable duo, pushing back wave after wave of attackers. But despite their efforts, the Valens kept coming, their numbers seemingly endless. "We can't keep this up forever," Ryan shouted over the noise of explosions and gunfire. "I know," Emily replied, her voice strained. "We need to end this now." An idea sparked in her mind, a desperate gamble that might turn the tide. She turned to Ryan, her glowing eyes locking onto his. "Trust me," she said simply. Ryan nodded without hesitation. "Always." With that, Emily unleashed the full extent of her powers, creating a massive energy field that enveloped the battlefield. The Valen forces faltered, their systems disrupted by the overwhelming surge. Seizing the opportunity, the human defenders launched a coordinated assault, destroying several more ships before the invaders finally retreated. As the dust settled, the team gathered around Emily and Ryan, exhausted but victorious. For now, they had won, but Emily knew the war was far from over. The Valens would return, stronger and more determined than ever. And when they did, sacrifices would have to be made. The victory was short-lived. Though the team had managed to repel the initial attack, the cost had been high. Several members of the defense team were injured, and one of their key generators had been damaged beyond repair. The mood in the camp was somber as everyone worked to clean up the wreckage and tend to the wounded. Emily moved among them, using her healing abilities to ease pain and mend injuries. Her presence brought comfort, but she could feel the weight of their exhaustion and her own. Ryan watched her closely, noticing how drained she seemed. He approached her as she finished tending to a soldier's broken arm. "You okay?" he asked softly. Emily nodded, though her glowing eyes betrayed her fatigue. "I am fine," she replied telepathically. "But we cannot rest yet. They will return." Ryan clenched his fists, frustration boiling inside him. "We can't keep fighting like this. We're outnumbered, outgunned. There has to be another way." Emily hesitated, then spoke quietly. "There is, but it comes at a price." "What do you mean?" Ryan asked, his brow furrowing. Emily looked away, her expression pained. "If I go back to my people, if I surrender myself, they might call off the invasion. At least for now." "No," Ryan said immediately, his voice firm. "I won't let you do that." "It is not your decision," Emily said, her mental voice trembling slightly. "This is my responsibility. My betrayal brought them here. If sacrificing myself buys humanity more time, then it is worth it." Ryan grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to look at him. "You're not doing this alone. We're in this together, remember. Whatever happens, we face it side by side." Before Emily could respond, an alarm blared through the camp. Someone shouted, "Incoming transmission." Everyone froze, turning toward the monitors. On the screen appeared the cold, calculating face of a Valen commander. His gaze was sharp, his tone icy. "Emily," he said, addressing her directly, "you have caused enough chaos. Surrender yourself, or we will destroy everything you have grown to care for." The room fell silent. Emily stepped forward, her heart pounding. "Do not harm them," she said aloud, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. "I will come willingly." "No," Ryan shouted, stepping between her and the screen. "You can't trust them." The commander smirked cruelly. "Your defiance amuses us, human. But know this, our patience is thin. You have until dawn." The transmission ended, leaving the room heavy with dread. Emily turned to Ryan, tears glistening in her eyes. "I must go," she whispered. "It is the only way." Ryan shook his head fiercely. "There's always another way. We'll find it, together." Despite his protests, Emily made her decision. Under cover of darkness, she slipped away from the camp, leaving behind only a note for Ryan. ** forgive me. ** it read. ** love you. *. When Ryan discovered her absence, panic surged through him. He raced to the ship, determined to follow her. Dr. Carter tried to stop him. "You can't save her if you get yourself killed," she argued. "I don't care," Ryan shot back. "She saved all of us. I'm not letting her face them alone." Against all odds, Ryan tracked Emily to a remote location where a massive Valen mothership loomed overhead. Soldiers surrounded her, dragging her aboard. Ryan fought his way through, using every ounce of skill and determination he possessed. When he finally reached her, She was already aboard the ship, her hands bound in energy restraints. "Let her go," Ryan yelled, raising his weapon. The Valen commander sneered, "Brave, but foolish." Before anyone could react, Emily unleashed a burst of energy, breaking free. She grabbed Ryan's hand, pulling him deeper into the ship. "Come on," she urged. "We're not done yet." Together, they ran through the labyrinthine corridors, pursued by Valen forces. Their bond gave them strength, hope flickering even in the darkest moments. But they both knew the hardest part was still ahead.